Hi you guys, it's Wendy coming to you with a project share. I have been watching lots of videos lately and I came across one by one of my favorite YouTube channel, YouTube celebrities, for those among people who like to make altered books and journals and things. And so Nik the Booksmith was hosting a challenge, a creative challenge, and she issued a desert island challenge with the premise being that you use very few materials in order to create a book. And so I wanted to show you the materials that I chose. You were to choose an adhesive. In this case, I chose a roll of double-sided adhesive. It's mainly what I work with anyway, with the exception of using Yes paste in some of my projects, but this is primarily what I use all the time. So I use this. You were able to use a pair of scissors. You could use some ink. So I chose the Tim Holtz Faded Jeans Distress ink. And I don't have an applicator, but I have this little sponge that I've cut, and so I use that to apply my ink. You could use thread and a needle. In this case I didn't use a needle, I didn't do a typical binding. I figured I would make it fairly rustic, given that you're supposed to, it's supposed to be something that if you were stranded on a desert island with just a few supplies in order to make this journal, what would you be able to accomplish? And so I used this natural fiber, and this had white on it, and of course I used all of the white. And then you were able to use any kind of paper you wanted, but just one kind. And so some people I've been seeing are using tea-dyed papers or coffee-dyed papers. That's what I did. I took this copy paper and I did a bunch of coffee dyeing. And then in terms of a book cover, you could use whatever you want. You can use corrugated cardboard. You could use an actual book cover and strip it down and take the guts out of it and use that. If you want, you can cover it with material or fabric. And so I just used a box that we just got a TV antenna. And so it was almost exclusively the size I needed, and then I used all the scraps in order to either decorate the cover, or you'll see pretty soon that I used them as inside decorations as well. So this is what I came up with, and you can see that I relied pretty heavily on peeling off the paper on the corrugated cardboard and of course inking it in different ways. On my spine, you can see that I've used that natural fiber in order to just create kind of a knotted little, all my threads are just kind of knotted, and it's basically just secured over the top of my binding. It doesn't look pretty, but like I said, it's rustic and it's meant to be what would you create if you had just a few supplies. I guess also included in one of my freebies or items that I could add to those sort of basics is I added this button. So I did just a simple closure, and I've got my string attached to the button, and just wrap it around whenever I want to close it up. So then on the inside, you see I've done some more decorating with the corrugated cardboard and the ink. Another thing we could use is one piece of 12 by 12 scrapbook paper, and I didn't have any scraps left over, so everything that you see is essentially used in here. So I chose a piece of Stampington, or Somerset Studios Stampington design paper, and I think it was actually a collage put together by Lynn Perella. And I've held on to this scrapbook paper forever because I really love it and I didn't want to utilize it. So I thought this was perfect. It's got images of people. It's got kind of what I consider to be beachy colors. And of course it's got a few shells and things, so I thought that that would be appropriate. So you can see here I've made some circles. I just took my little applicator and put my tape roll here, and of course just went around the inside in order to make those circles. Here I've created kind of a pleated pocket and a tag. All of my tags have white on the back so that you can actually journal on them. I tried to go journal heavy, primarily because that would be my preferred use. If I'm going to be stranded on a desert island, I'm going to want something to do. And so, of course, I basically tried for multiple places where you could write. I did some stripes or some lines. I have this little triangular pocket. You could also tuck something behind it if you chose to. And a little booklet inside. I created these little hearts just out of the copy paper and made a couple so that you could flip it and it would be a heart on both sides. Got this little fold out, again with a few squares of this sheet of paper that I utilized. My coffee dyeing isn't overly complicated and I'm not the best at it. Obviously it's better if you bake it, and I don't have time for that, so I let it air dry. And here I got my lines just by virtue of putting it on kind of a rusted baking rack, and so it bled on there and created some effect. Here I've used a little piece of the box that I've used pretty much everywhere throughout the book, and again I've created a little tuck spot. Made these little squares out of the Distress ink pad. And here you see the actual stamping itself, and this just bled through on the other side. I've got a little pocket here again and a tag. Made some X's. Again, we've got a little tuck spot. I tried to vary between the kind of brown or light tan created by the coffee dyeing, and then I tried to contrast that with just regular white copy paper. Here I just took my fingers and created little waves. We've got a tag. And this was pretty interesting. When I was stripping the paper off of the corrugated cardboard, the printed side, the part that talked about the features of the little antenna, when it peeled up, it had this kind of nice, interesting texture. And so I saved a few pieces of that and used that as well. Kind of reminds me of sand. Here we've got another pocket and a tag. I also cut out some letters, and my intent was that I was going to make a compass. Excuse me. And so I have the north, east, south, and west. I also cut out an arrow, and I eventually incorporated, after I used them to stamp, I incorporated the actual letters and the arrows into the book design as well. Here we have some more of the corrugated cardboard. So everything that I stamped with, I kept and used as a design element elsewhere. Here we've got the N and the S. I also did some experimenting with making stencils and then keeping the stencils in there. And so I thought that was kind of a nice effect, again, with the coffee dyed paper and the white copy paper. And here I've got my stamping. And then on the next page, I kept my stencil and attached it over some coffee dyed paper. So yeah, there's just pretty much little variations of those same things, same elements. Here I finally got some design on my paper just by virtue of air drying it. This stamping came from the lid to the ink pad. Got a little tuck spot. In these places you can see that I stamped again with the corrugated cardboard, and then of course use that corrugated cardboard triangle elsewhere as a pocket or a tuck spot. Got this little square in the middle from which I've placed 2 tags. And the rest of this, essentially, as I began to run out of some of those elements that I was using, like the corrugated cardboard or the scrapbook paper, you know, some of this just is very basic, more stamping, more of the same elements that you've just seen, obviously just the other side of that. But honestly, I'm okay with that. And again, you know, very similar things that I've already shown you. Back in the back here, I made an envelope. See if I can find that. Here's my little disheveled envelope. But I'm okay with that because I think that that would happen, right? You might be able to utilize your materials quite heavily for a little while and then they would run out, just as with any supply that you might have on a deserted island. Things are going to run out. So anyway, yeah, that's what I created, and here I've got my back cover, and again have utilized some of those pieces of corrugated cardboard. Here's what I stamped with, and that was what I came up with. I had a lot of fun with it. I've really been enjoying the rest of the challenge entries. There's quite a few of them now on YouTube if you want to take a look at that. I'll certainly link to Nik's original challenge video, and then you would simply need to just do a search for Nik's Desert Island Challenge, and of course you'd find all the other participants and be able to view their creations. But I just wanted to share that, and I think what I would like to do, if anybody watches and if anybody is interested, what I'd like to do is do a giveaway for this junk journal. And what I would like to do is, it's Sunday today. I'm going to go ahead and leave this open until next Sunday, and then I'll pick a winner next Sunday. So if you would like to be entered to win this journal, go ahead and put enter me down below. It should be fairly light to ship, so I don't even mind if it's somebody international. That's fine with me. When I pick a winner on this coming Sunday, I would simply ask that when I notify you that you're the winner, I'll go ahead and just comment on your enter me down below on this video. And then I'll just ask that you email me with your mailing address, and I'll get that out in the mail to you. So again, yeah, thanks for letting me share. And again, if you're interested in winning this junk journal I've created for Nik's Desert Island Challenge, go ahead and write enter me down below. And definitely check out the other entries and check out Nik's original video. All right, thanks you guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Bye-bye.